Hey everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. So it is Friday evening, well, early Saturday morning, and I thought I would check in because I have a little bit of an update. I finished Heart of Flames. Like I said in the last vlog, I only had like an hour left of the audiobook. This is getting 3.5 stars. It wasn't my favorite. That character is annoying. I don't think I need to rehash that ground. I will continue with the series, and my plan is to finish it up in August, but I don't have high hopes for that book. I'm very curious to see if it impresses me. And then the other update I have is that I started the Underground Railroad. I am on page 75, so I'm making some decent progress in this book, and we're following Cora? Yes. And she is a young slave, and a boy named Caesar, who is another slave owned by her master, floats to her the idea of running away. And he basically ends up taking her to the Underground Railroad. And in this story, the Underground Railroad is an actual railroad, which is not how it was in real life. And so far, I'm enjoying it. We have already seen a lot of Cora's life as a slave and how brutal it was. And I thought it was really well done how he set up why Cora would want to run away and why she wouldn't, because it wasn't an easy decision. Even though Cora makes it clear that all slaves at some point or another daydream about running away, but it's not as easy to do. So it's like, there is such a high risk attached to it that they're going to actually put it into motion. And it is interesting to see her thought process and how she comes to the conclusion that she's going to run with Caesar. And I'm curious to see how it being an actual railroad affects things, where they end up, who Cora interacts with, and how her life plays out. I just got to the point where they got to the Underground Railroad, so I'm very curious to see how things develop in this. So we'll see how this goes. Then I'm also hoping to get back to The Whispering War. These are the two books I've been reading. I would really like to finish them. I mean, I also technically am reading The Secret Keeper, and I am reading the kind of Lady Hardcastle spin-off series, which there's no way I'm going to remember the name of that book. I will get back to them at some point, but I'm really trying to focus on my July TBR. I almost said January. It's not January. It's July. I wish it was January. It'd be a lot colder. There'd be less bugs. I wouldn't be hot all the time. The pollen wouldn't be so bad. Just, I mean, I'm over here going, okay, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. I'm like ready to break out the Christmas music, whatever I need to do, like to summon snow. I'm not necessarily ready for Christmas because I think that comes too soon and you lose some of the magic and the whimsy that is Christmas. And I will get tired of Christmas songs playing all the time and having to work around my Christmas tree and keep my cats out of my Christmas tree. But I am ready to break out the Christmas music if it'll make it snow and not make it 90 degrees. Despite that, I did manage to finish my book haul today. I believe I hauled 70 books in April, May, and June, so that was fun. Definitely planning on hauling less in the coming months because, well, money is tight and I can't just keep spending money I really don't have on books. I did start a Pango Books account to try to sell some of the 88 million books I've managed to collect since the pandemic started and had nowhere to put them. I have been slowly feeding them out to the little free libraries in my area, but I can only drop off so many books. And yeah, and my mom is going through her books too, so it's a process of her sorting through them, cleaning the dust off because they've just been sitting there because my mom is not a rereader. So we also went to my storage unit. I want to say in May. And I swear I have a good like dozen boxes just full of books at my storage unit. Books I don't plan on keeping, just sitting in boxes at my storage unit. So if I could work on getting those listed and getting some of those out of my house, that would be fantastic because it would, A, create some extra cash that I could either then spend on books, or what I'd really like to do is get a little free library of my own for my front yard because I have so many books that I've loved, especially middle grade, that I want to share with my community, and it would just be such a cool, fun way to do it and to kind of interact with other book lovers and connect with other people. Even if I don't really talk to them, to just see the books moving in and out of the library, even if I don't see anybody actually stop at it. But that requires money I don't have right now. So that's kind of my thought process, is I would get the books out of my house, maybe make a little extra cash, and possibly make enough to get myself a little free library. So I'll have my Pango books linked down below if you'd like to check out what I've got up and want to contribute to the cause. It is very possible I have a book you might want because, well, everybody has different reading tastes, and a book that I hated, you may have loved, and vice versa. So that is my plan. I'm working on it. Once I film my unhaul, which I'm hoping to get to, though not this weekend because it's supposed to be 92, but we do have a few cooler days, so maybe in the evening it'll cool off enough for me to film. I will have a bunch more books because it's all the books I've unhauled in my house in the first 6 months of the year. It's not as many as I hauled, even in just the last 3 months, but it's still a decent stack, and it'll be nice to kind of have unhauled them and then be able to do something with them, whether it is sell them or donate them or give them away or put them in a little free library or whatever. At least they will not be sitting on my bookcase. Because right now, they are sitting on my bookcase in front of my Phase 10 board. I don't know if I can, let's see if I can swing this around to show you. Right there, that stack, right there, those are all unhaul books. And that is where I've been storing them. And I would like to get rid of them so that I can put something there that is not unhaul books. So that is my plan. Film my unhaul, read some more, film, edit, etc. We'll see how much I can get to. I know that I will edit more over the weekend just because it's going to be hot, and editing with a fan on and the lights off is really easy to do because I just stick my headphones in and hold on to my phone. So much easier to do. I can do it laying down in my bed in front of a fan, nice and cool. So hopefully I'll get a lot of editing done this weekend, since I probably won't be reading or, well, filming. Definitely not filming because I can't have a fan on when I film. So that is my plan. I don't know which of these I'm going to read tonight, but I'm definitely going to read one of them because, well, I'm in the middle of them and I would like to finish one of these two because this is on my TBR and this is my series to continue. And so far I've managed to read all of those in a timely manner. I don't think I've failed a TBR this year. And I think since I implemented the jar, I don't think I've not read a series or my nonfiction. So hopefully I can get to those, but we'll see. So I'm going to go read now. I think Miss Ellie is ready for me to curl up and read. And I will check back in with you later, and I don't know. Hopefully I will do it before next Friday, and you guys might actually get 3 whole clips of me talking about books in this vlog. Wouldn't that be something? So you might not believe this, and I'm not sure I believe it myself, but it is actually only a few hours since I checked in with you, and I'm doing so because I finished The Whispering Wars, and I wanted to talk about it while it was still all fresh in my head. So this is the second book in the Kingdoms and Empires series, and in this series, we've got a dual perspective narrative, and we're following Honeybee and Finley, and Honeybee is living at a boarding school, and Finley is living in an orphanage, and kids are going missing, and they believe it's due to whisperers who have the ability to plant ideas in your head and make you follow them. And some of these kids are important to Finley and Honeybee, and they decide to try to get to the bottom of what is going on. I ended up giving this one 3.75 stars. It is almost a 4. I may end up bumping it up after sleeping on it and seeing how I feel in the morning, but this book started a little bit slow. But it's also been a while since I read The Inconvenient Adventures of Bronte Metalstone. I think that's what book 1 is called. So those details were fuzzy, and then this book did not help me remember really anything that happened in that book because, well, it doesn't follow Bronte. I did like how it tied in to the world, though. That was explained throughout the book, and I was waiting for that to be explained, so I'm really glad they did, and they kind of explained why we weren't following Bronte. So I did like that, and it picked up in the later half. I believe the last time I talked about where I was in this book, I actually misspoke. I said I was like 143 pages in, which is where my bookmark was. But I had listened to more of the audiobook and hadn't updated my bookmark. So I was like 100 pages farther into the book than I thought I was. So that's why I decided to check in, because it wasn't that late and I wanted to talk about my thoughts. Well, it's 4 a.m. That's not that late for me. And I'm actually feeling all right sleep-wise. And tomorrow is going to be hot. So I am very curious as to what is going to happen in the next book because I've read the description. So I'm really tempted to get book 3 and just keep going with the series while it is all fresh, especially if we're going to change characters, because I believe in the description of that we're following a young girl named Esther. And I don't know any Esthers, so I may request the 3rd book of this series from my library and just kind of chug along with this series while the details are fresh, which I'm finding is actually working out really, really well when it comes to me completing series and getting them off my list, because pulling them out of my jar is giving me the incentive to read them. And I know that, here, we'll pull it up, I have access to it, that there are a bunch of slips of paper in here that can come out. There are series I have finished all on my own. There are series I have DNF'd. I occasionally go through my series and look at them and see if there's any that I'm like, you know, I just don't want to read this anymore, and there definitely has been. And obviously there are series in here that I'm caught up on. Like, for instance, Nevermore. I'm caught up on Nevermore. The next book doesn't come out until October of 2023. I could pull that out every month between now and then, and I can't read the 4th book in that series. I don't have access to it. So it looks a lot worse than it is. It's going to be very interesting when we get to the end of the year to see how many series I'm actually in the midst of when I make my, like, 2023 series list, because I'm going to copy and paste the series over, and that way I can skip the rows of the ones I've DNF'd and the ones I've finished. So that should be quite interesting. But this has been working for me. It has actually made it so I'm focusing on some of my series. And not just the series I've read recently or the ones that I'm like really drawn to, but ones I forget about, like Bronte Metalstone, that I completely forget that I had started and walked away from, or I wasn't even sure it was in a series until I put my series spreadsheet together. So even though I'm adding to it all the time, it is really, really cool to know that I can pull pieces of paper out and it will eventually empty. Although, with as many pieces of paper in here as there are, I will not be going through them because I would have to unroll them, and I don't want to unroll like 160 pieces of paper. So they will come out as they come out and as I draw them, but in the meantime, I think I'm going to curl up, maybe read a little bit of the Underground Railroad, and then crash, because I am tired. Sort of. And it's going to be hot tomorrow, which means I'm probably not going to be able to sleep too late because my room's going to get too hot. Even with air conditioning, my room gets hot. It sucks. So I'm going to go, and I will check back in with you all soon, hopefully. I'm making an effort this week to check in more frequently, so we'll see how it goes. It's like 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning, and I thought I would check in as I have a bit of an update. I'm definitely reading a lot slower. When I was editing vlog 33, which is currently uploading and has been uploading since 4 a.m. Monday morning. So almost 48 hours, and I believe last I checked it was 42%, so it's taking ages. But when I was editing that at the end of that video, I counted how many books I had read in the last 8 days of June for Whatever-a-thon. And at that point in time, it was 6 entire more books than I had currently read in the month of July. Since then, I have finished 2, so it is still 4 books more than I have read in the month of July. And it's officially the 27th. So I am definitely slumping, so I don't have as much to share with you because obviously I've only read 2 books since I last checked in with you. So I'll run through these quick. The first is The Underground Railroad. We're following a young girl named Cora who, when given the opportunity to decide to run away from her plantation and her master, takes it and goes to the Underground Railroad. And in this book, the Underground Railroad is an actual railroad where they get on like trains and stuff. And we kind of follow her journey. I think I'm going like 3.25 stars. The premise of this book was fantastic. I absolutely love the idea of the Underground Railroad being an actual like underground railroad. But there is a disconnect. This book should have had a lot more hard-hitting, impactful moments. I should have been a lot more attached to Cora and her journey. And I just wasn't. I don't know, there was an emotional disconnect for me, and it definitely made me not enjoy this book. I also thought that there were times where it was a little bit jumpy and I wasn't quite sure what was going on, and we occasionally got chapters from other characters' point of view, and I'm not sure that they necessarily added much to the story outside of disrupting Cora's journey, and I would have rather just stuck with Cora. So I don't know. Yeah, this book didn't work for me, and I went into it so hopeful because it had such an intriguing premise. And the beginning with Cora on the plantation was great. It was basically after she ran that things started to fall apart. So yeah, 3.25 stars for this one. And then the other book I finished is Choose Your Own Autobiography by Neil Patrick Harris. This is one of the books I had in my black hole jar, and I was really nervous about this because it is a choose your own adventure. So at the end of the chapter, you get to pick what page you're going to go to, just like the choose your own adventure books when you were a kid. And I was worried I was going to miss something, so I wrote down every page, and I'm glad I did. There were several pages I had missed, and some of them I still can't figure out how you get to them. Like, I went through the entire book from front to back and did not see a place where it said, turn to page this number. I don't want to spoil it in case you want to read it, and you don't have that problem. So I struggled with that. I'm glad that I was keeping track of what pages I was reading, because otherwise there would have been a couple stories that I completely missed, and that would have bugged me. And I always would have wondered. So this book took me a lot longer to read than a normal autobiography would, because you're flipping around and you do occasionally come across the end. And when that happens, I would go back to the beginning and try to find a different route, and eventually it got to the point where I was just constantly flipping around trying to figure out how to get to these last pages, and eventually gave up and read them and tried to find the route there, and still am not sure how I would have gotten there. But I think I'm going 4.25 stars. It was quite interesting to read about Neil's story. I enjoyed the nostalgia hit that I got from the Choose Your Own Adventure, even if I'm way more into making sure I read them, though even as a kid, I was pretty on top of making sure I had read every page in the book. So maybe not write the pages down to make sure, but like definitely going through the book at the end and checking to make sure I had taken all of the options, which was a lot easier in like a 100-page book than it was in an almost 300-page book. So I enjoyed getting to hear Neil's story, and it was quite interesting and a lot of fun to read with the choose your own format, even if I had to be over the top when it came to making sure I had read everything. So it's not a book I could ever see myself rereading, but it was enjoyable. And then for books I'm partway through, I've started Great Bear Lake, which is the second book in the Seekers series by Aaron Hunter, where we're following a black bear, a polar bear, and a grizzly bear. And I think I'm like a quarter of the way through it, and I'm enjoying it. I'm definitely more into it than I was the first time I read it, and I'm very curious as to how this journey is going to continue to develop and how these bears continue to learn from one another, because even though all three of them are bears, grizzly bears, black bears, and polar bears are very different creatures and have very different habits and styles, and it's just really, really interesting to see that kind of playing out and seeing them learn about one another. So I'm definitely intrigued. And speaking of Aaron Hunter, I have started Bamboo Kingdom. I am on page 110. I'm about halfway through. I'm listening to the audiobook. And in this one, we have Leaf, Rain, and Ghost, who are 3 pandas. And there's a prophecy about triplet pandas who are going to see the Dragon Warrior. No, Dragon Speaker. It's the Dragon Speaker. So we're kind of following them on their journeys as they discover who they are and their strengths and learn more about this prophecy and themselves and each other. I'm definitely enjoying this. I'm back into the flow of it because it's been a while since I read book 1, and so it took me a little bit to get reacquainted with each of the characters and to refresh my memory on what they had done in the previous book. But I'm all on board now, and I'm very curious with the way things are going. There's some interesting stuff going down, and I'm curious to see how things play out based on certain decisions the characters have made, and whether, how to put this without spoiling things. There is one character who is currently dealing with some stuff, and I'm curious to see if they manage to figure some stuff out on their own, or if another character or another one of the prophesized pandas is going to be the thing that makes them kind of wake up and see what is going on. So I think that's vague enough to not spoil things, but specific enough that you kind of have an idea of what I'm trying to get at, of why I'm intrigued. I hate talking about sequels because they're so incredibly tricky to talk about. Like, I don't mind it with, like, cozy mysteries because, like, they have, like, a mystery of the week thing where you can specifically talk about the mystery in that book without necessarily spoiling anything major for the previous books. But with these, it is so incredibly hard. Well, any fantasy books, really, to talk about a sequel and not feel like you're spoiling something from the first book. But I am enjoying the character development in this one and the journey, and it's really nice to be back in this world, and really weird to be reading 2 of Aaron Hunter's series simultaneously. Like, I mean, technically I'm in the middle of 4 out of 5 of them, but, like, it is very, very weird to know that I could be listening to the audiobook of Seekers tomorrow before I switch back to this book, because I don't think I've ever done that. Usually I would read a book in, like, say, the Bravelands, and then I would switch to Warriors. I don't normally read a chapter of Warriors and then read a chapter of Bravelands, so this is a whole new experience for me. And it's just really, really nice and comforting because I love the way the Aarons write and put their stories together, so I'm quite enjoying this. And then the last book I'm in the midst of is The Weather Machine. I'm not very far. I think I'm on, page 31. And it's interesting. We have gotten into the history of how forecasting started and kind of the realization of the fact that you could predict weather and how one goes about doing that and how tricky that is. So that's kind of interesting. I'm very curious as to what else I'm going to learn in this one because it's all about weather. I'm so far enjoying learning the backstory to how forecasting came to be and how tricky it was in the beginning to learn forecasting itself and how far we've come and the rapid progress we've made in the last several decades. Because I think there is a point, there's a point where he talks about how as time has gone on, we're able to more accurately forecast weather. So he says that means a 6-day forecast today is as good as a 5-day forecast was a decade ago. A 5-day forecast today is good as a 3-day forecast was 2 decades ago. Today's 6-day forecast is as good as a 2-day forecast in the 1970s. So it's like back in the 1970s, we were accurately predicting a 2-day forecast into the future, so 2 days into the future, as frequently as we are now predicting a 6-day forecast into the future. So that's kind of crazy, especially when I've read the first little bit and learned how all of this kind of started and how ridiculously complicated it was to even figure out the basics of how weather worked. So I'm quite interested in this, and I think this should be pretty easy to finish. When it comes to my July TBR, I have to finish this. Which I see no reason why I won't finish this tomorrow, I don't think. And then I have to read the story web. I'm not worried. I think I've got this TBR in the bag unless something crazy happens. I mean, I know it's going to be hot, but I don't think it's going to be so hot that I screw up my TBR. So I'm very excited about that. I filmed Phase 10 Chooses My TBR today, and I did not include punishments, and I'm really glad I didn't because I don't think I'm going to need them, especially with how quick this one is reading. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm going to be very curious to hear your guys' thoughts on Phase 10 because that is the weirdest game of Phase 10 I have ever played. Well, I mean, like, my TBR game. It was just odd. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I mean, you'll have seen it by the time you've seen this, but I'm really, really excited to edit that and then get it out to you guys at some point soon, like, really soon. I mean, obviously, it's the 27th. I'm going to have it to you before August 1st, assuming it uploads. Though I will say, I have uploaded vlog 34. I have uploaded vlog 35. They're on there. 33 is just taking frigging ages. And vlog 36 is completely edited. I just need to watch it back, and I'm hoping to do that tomorrow and upload that. So once vlog 33 figures its stuff out and uploads itself, I will be able to get to you in quick succession vlog 33, 34, 35, and 36. And I believe this is vlog 37. And I can't give you this one yet, because it's not over. But hopefully I will be able to give this to you relatively soon after it ends, because the clips that I've already filmed, I've edited. This clip will be getting edited tomorrow while it's hot out, and then all I have left is the clip to wrap it up that I will need to edit, and then I can watch it back and upload it. I'm trying to get on top of my uploads. I'm getting close. Like, the vlogs are almost caught up. I've got to edit my haul, film and edit my unhaul, film and edit my spring covers, which I will be starting because the story web is one of them and it's on my TBR. So I have to, like, start that video if I want to complete my TBR. So I'm hoping to read those in pretty rapid succession because the 10,000 Doors of January is on my Questathon TBR and it's the only book I have left for that. So I will be reading that in the next 5 days too. Hopefully. We shall see. So that is my plan. I need to film and edit all those. And then the only outstanding videos I have are my top 5s from February, March, April, May, and June. Oh, and then July. And I would like to do the mid-year freakout tag based on the first 6 months of the year, but that is the lowest priority thing I haven't filmed yet. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, I'm going to log off so that I can go read, wind down, get ready for bed, and get some sleep before it gets too hot out because we're having, I think, 2 hot days, then 2 cool days, and then we're headed into another heat wave, and I am not enjoying this whatsoever. So I'm going to go get some sleep, and I will check back in with you all at the end of this week's vlog. it is Thursday and it's almost midnight and I'm not planning on doing any more reading, so it's time to wrap this vlog up. I made some more progress on Great Bear Lake. I'm about halfway through and things are still going. I'm still intrigued as to what is going on with these bears. So we have Toklo, who is our grizzly bear, and he is a grumpy character and frustrated and very guarded, and he is abrasive at times, and I understand based on the way things have gone why he acts the way he acts, but it is definitely interesting to see how that affects his journey. Then we have Lusa, who is our black bear, and she grew up in the Bear Bowl, so she is completely different. She's not a wild bear, so she has a completely different view to our other bears, and she is strong and determined despite all of this, and I enjoy how that plays into her interactions, both her experience in the human world and her inexperience not in the human world. And then we have Calic, our polar bear, who is really, really struggling right now, and I'm very curious as to where things are going to go with her. Again, hard to talk about because it's a sequel, but they're three very, very different characters, and it's interesting to see their personalities develop as they go on this journey, and I'm definitely intrigued to see how things end up at the end of this book. But like I said, I think, about half of it left to go, so we'll see. And speaking of Aaron Hunter, I finished River of Secrets. So in this book, we're following 3 pandas, and there is a prophecy about triplet pandas that we learn about in the first book, and all of the animals in the forest, including the pandas, are dealing with the aftermath of a great flood. I don't think I mentioned that when I talked about this book before, but they are recovering from this flood, which is how we kind of get introduced to the story as we hear about the flood, and then we meet our 3 main characters, Rain, Leaf, and Ghost. And oh boy, did this book end on a doozy. I do not know when book 3 comes out, but I am very much ready for it because there were some twists and turns in this that I was not expecting, and I'm very, very curious about what is going to happen next and where things are going to go. I don't know if you guys can see, but right there is one of my cats, and she's sleeping on the back of my chair. She's just very cute. I don't know how that is comfortable. I just noticed that when I was talking to you. Anyways, back to the pandas. Yeah, there were some very intriguing twists in this, and I don't know who I completely trust right now because there's so much going on that I'm not sure which characters are trustworthy and which ones aren't. So I'm very curious as to where they're going to go in book 3 with this. And then the only other update I have is that I finished The Weather Machine. So I think I'm going like 3.25 stars on this. I wanted more out of this. It gives you the barest, briefest insight into how we ended up forecasting weather today, but I wanted to know more. I wanted to know how this technology developed and who developed it and what all of it meant, and it just didn't give me that. I don't know. I wanted more, and it wasn't written in the most engaging manner, so that definitely brought it down too. So I feel like this is a good start, but it wasn't giving me what I was looking for. So it wasn't my favorite, but I did read a nonfiction, actually 2 of them, because I read Choose Your Own Autobiography, but this was my nonfiction, and I read it. So, yeah. I believe that's everything. I am still definitely slumpy. I am struggling to read. I don't think I mentioned I'm going 4.25 stars on this, so I'm enjoying some of what I'm reading, but even with that, I still feel slumpy. I had been hoping to finish Great Bear Lake today, but like I just struggled to want to read. So it is what it is. I got my TBR posted, and vlog 33 was at 75%, and then my YouTube app updated which meant I had to start over, but it only took 2 hours. It had been working 3.5 days to get to 75%. So it ended up being a blessing in disguise, and I'm hoping I will be posting that on Friday the 29th. Yeah, Friday the 29th, which is tomorrow. So, you'll know when you watch this if it happened, because, well, it would have already happened for you. But if that's the case, the plan would be to post Pick Pongathon TBR this weekend, and then vlogs 34 and 35 are already up, like uploaded to my channel, so I would just need to schedule them. 36 is edited and ready to go, so that should be able to go out. And then this is 37, and the only clip for this that needs to be edited is the one I'm filming right now. So I think I'm caught up on my vlogs pretty much. I will say that we're doing a weekend reading vlog to wrap up July before I dive into my crazy August TBR, so you will have that to look forward to. And yeah, I think that's it for this week's reading vlog. Craziness. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me panda emojis. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!